Hello and welcome to Sega News Bits Live. I'm Barry, and on this impromptu, they're always impromptu, morning news roundup, we're going to be taking a look at what happened in the news with Sega, specifically talking about the Sega Genesis Mini 2, but we're also going to be touching on Bayonetta 3, so we're going to go 2, 3, there's no 1. And then we're going to conclude with a new segment I'm calling Barry's Beef, and that is going to be complaints from me, so I'll stick those at the end. So without further ado, let's kick it off. Let's talk about the Sega Genesis Mini 2. Now, if you're on the Twitter, and I know Twitter is not like the only source of information and news, only a fraction of our viewership, readership is on there. But we were one of the early people on there to be talking about this. Basically, someone sent me a link to an Amazon listing on Amazon US for a Sega Genesis Mini. And what was so strange about the listing, and actually let's take a look at it here. I want to see if it's changed at all since I wrote this article. Let's check it out. All right, so it looks a little bit better now. But when this thing was posted initially, it looked so shady. Basically, the image, the header up here was in Japanese, so I had to translate it, and it said what it says now for sales in North America. But even then, like, that reads so, I don't know, scammy. You know what I mean? It just does not look like this is an official listing. And when you go down here, there isn't really any fancy graphics, nothing really telling you, yeah, this is the official release of the Sega Genesis Mini 2. Over down here, people are asking, like, what does the kanji mean there? And so when that information was dropped on us, or dropped on me, I started kind of doing a little digging, checking out the listing, checking out the seller, and then I went over to Amazon Japan, and they had a listing for this as well. And it said it's listed on Amazon Japan, but only people in North America can purchase it. But since then, I've heard people in other North American countries, like Canada, have been having issues. So I don't know if they've worked that all out yet, despite calling it North American. It seems like right now only United States of America can pre-order it, which is kind of wonky. Anyway, long story short, while I was looking at the Japanese listing and like verifying it, Sega of America actually tweeted out that it was happening. And I completely missed that. So I was up on Twitter and I was like, hey guys, I'm still figuring this out. And people were replying to the tweet saying, did you look at the official Sega account? So despite being one of the early people to break the news then broke as I was in the process of breaking it. So that kind of broke me. But regardless, I'm very excited for this. It's a different method of release, though. So if you recall, the Sega Genesis Mini 1 was given a wide release. You could walk into stores. You'd see it there on the shelves at Target. To me, it was very exciting because prior to the release of that, I was actually like kind of pushing back on the Genesis Mini. That was the first plug-and-play console from Sega. Since then, they have done the Astro City Mini, the Astro City Mini V, which comes out this month, the Game Gear Micro, and now they have this. And I was saying, like, guys, this is not a new console. It's not new Sega hardware. It's just a little plug-and-play, third-party thing. But as time went on, we learned that this was really Sega utilizing their existing, assets or what they had on hand to create this. So they used Sega Toys, which does do manufacturing still. They utilized M2, who's a contractor for them, who has done a lot of retro work. And it really became a in-house product. And so, yeah, I will go back and say that I was wrong. The Sega Genesis Mini was very much a piece of Sega hardware, and I think you could put it alongside all the consoles that have since released, especially in terms of just like the timeline of Genesis releases. I think it stacks up there. I think it's definitely not like the Fire Core at Games model piece of crap that went out there. So this thing's really cool, but it's handled by Sega of Japan, and it will be shipping from Japan, which is kind of weird because it basically throws on an extra $20 in shipping even if you're an Amazon Prime member. This is an Amazon exclusive, but it's shipping from Amazon Japan through Amazon US. So it's going to be costing you a close to $120, which is a lot. And it's also pretty on par with the price of the Japanese version. And so, you're not... I heard people saying, well, I'm going to wait until this goes on sale. I don't think this is going on sale because, like I said, it's an Amazon exclusive. Once they sell through their stock, they're good to go. Like, they can keep it at the price they want, and people are just going to buy it when they want it. And I think once time goes on and people sees that the price is not dropping, they're just going to pull the plug. And I've told some people, you can opt for that Amazon. I mean, you're getting a credit card, so don't get a credit card if you don't need a credit card. But if you look to make future Amazon purchases that you want to pay over 6 months with 0 interest, this is an option. That's an option there, so check that out. But again, do what you want with your money. And it's only $100. I don't think you should do an installment plan for a $100 purchase. Let's talk about the titles. So there are some new titles on this. It's a mix of basically what we've seen on the Sega Mega Drive Mini 2 and then some new titles. And I'm not going to go into what's missing from the Mega Drive Mini 2 on this because we have not seen the full lineup. So they could announce titles that we've already seen announced for Japan. It gets a little confusing, but basically Sonic 3D Blast is the big addition to this, just because it's another Sonic title. Now there's 2 Sonic titles on here. 3D Blast is a game that has really not seen that many re-releases as of recent, so it's kind of cool to see it on here. There's also going to be Rainbow Islands Extra, and let's actually jump into the website itself. This is made by Sega of Japan, and we'll watch the video soon, but yeah. But you can see here, like, there are some Japanese titles just thrown on here. So I don't think they are going to be curating this so much for the American audiences. Like, I don't expect this to be, like, as American focused as the Mini 1 was. But you do see titles like Vector Man 2 is going to be on here. We also have the Ooze, which is going to be on here. And again, these could be announced tomorrow, actually. There's going to be another announcement for titles for the Mega Drive Mini 1, 2. God, it gets so confusing. But another interesting thing I noticed is that some of the box art is new. So, for example, these are exclusive titles, new exclusive games for this. And now it's a Genesis box art for Star Mobile. And then there's also going to be Genesis box art for this new Fantasy Zone remake that they're doing. So that's kind of cool. Rainbow Islands Extra, I mentioned. Alien Soldier is also going to be on this. Now, Alien Soldier was initially on the Asian release. So my fingers are crossed that every title that was on the Mega Drive Mini 1 Asian release makes it over to the Mini 2 for both Genesis and Mega Drive. Fingers crossed on that. I think Outrun 2019, and there's another title too that didn't make it over yet. Outrunners is another previously unannounced title for the Mega Drive Mini 2, so we're seeing it here. Pretty cool. Now, some oddities, someone pointed out this. So Outrun, the cover art shows a Ferrari, but because they don't have the license and they tweaked the sprites in the games, they took another logo for Outrun and slapped it over the car from Outrun. So it is literally like a sticker for the game pasted over the game. It's ridiculous looking. I think it looks so stupid. I wish they would try a little harder with that. Another thing that was pointed out to me is that this is a photo and they made a vector tracing over it. And I'm guessing it's because they didn't own the rights to the photo, but it looks like they did a complete redraw of the cover. It's very strange. And then, let's see what else is new. I think Rolling Thunder 2 was another previously unannounced title. Let me go back to my news story here. Yeah. So, yeah, we got a little handful of new releases or new announcements for this one. Let me drink my pink juice. Another thing that was pointed out to me, I thought this was interesting. So, despite the fact that they have updated the hardware, like the look of, obviously, like the the graphics on it. So we've got Genesis, we got Sega, like it looks more like the American model too. But what's interesting is you notice that controller is covering the power button. And if you look at the video above, they actually show the power button and it's a switch. Now, if you owned a Sega Genesis Model 2 in America, you would know that the American model was, and here you can see it, let me move my face, it was a button. You see that? Button. Who's got the button? Look at that. It was a button on the original model. And so what they did here is they actually they kept the same casing for the Japanese one, and they just changed the colors of the buttons to black, and they changed the disc tray, or the cartridge bay thing to black as well. So they didn't go all out, like they didn't change the mechanism for turning it on. I don't know, it's not a major deal to me. Like, I guess it's just a mechanics issue. Like, this is a little switch, there's less moving parts, whereas a button that locks down and has a spring is a completely new thing that they would have to create just for a variant for another, region. So I get it. I'm not bothered at all by that. But if people are like super nitpicky about that, now it has been pointed out that there is no European model announced as of yet, which is interesting to me. Like I'm surprised that we didn't see that day and date, just because to leave Europe out is kind of a big deal. Dr. Scottnick here in the chat is saying, I wonder what the reasoning of why Sega Japan are handling the Western release and not Sega Europe America. I gotta imagine maybe Sega America just doesn't want to. Like, maybe it's just too much added work for them. We've seen this before where like Sega will just not handle like the publishing of like Streets of Rage 4, and they'll have someone else do it. Like, they'll just license it out, and it's almost like, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. It's possible that they were given the option and they said no, or Sega of Japan just straight up were like, this is going to be a smaller rollout. You guys don't deal with it. We'll deal with it. But because of that, we get some very strange like materials here. Like, this is very clearly, and now let's give this a watch. It's going to be a little janky on your end, but you're going to hear it at least.
Sega Genesis Mini, the definitive mini console of the year. The next evolution has arrived. Reinventing the Sega Genesis with a new compact design. Sega Genesis Mini 2. Upgraded hardware can store more games than before.
Well, basically, it's like this guy, and he's clearly reading a script that was written from Sega Japan, because it's like, new surprises, what will be next? Like, I love the when they talk about like the new titles, they're like exclamation question mark. Like, it's so very Japanese in terms of a trailer. Again, like I feel like they could have done a little better job marketing this from the Sega of America side, but it very clearly seems like Sega Japan is handling it. So yeah, that's all that really can be said about that. It's releasing October 27th, 2022, but because it's shipping from Japan, you're not going to get that same-day delivery that Amazon usually gives. Like I said, there's no Prime discount on this. It's just going to be, you're going to be paying for international shipping. It's coming from Amazon Japan, from Sega, to you. So it's very possible that if you purchased the Mega Drive Mini 2 from Amazon Japan, you could get that sooner than this, or same day, or who knows, maybe you'll get them in the same box. It'll be kind of funny to see how that works out. I bought the EB10 Sega store model, which was a little extra price, but it comes with all these little fiddly bits, like little cartridges and like a little frame and all that crazy stuff. I like that stuff, so, don't judge me. Yeah, next bit of news that I thought was worthy of talking about is that Bayonetta 3, the release date was revealed. It is coming out a day after the Sega Genesis Mini 2, It is coming on October 28th, 2022 to the Switch. And on top of that, and what I want to talk about is that they're actually giving it some cool physical releases. So, of course, you're going to get the basic little cartridge there. And then there's also going to be this edition called the Trinity Masquerade Edition. Now, what I find strange about this one is it's very clearly playing off of, like, this is Bayonetta 3, Trinity. It comes with alternate art covers for Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3, and yet it only comes with the Bayonetta 1 game. And it makes me wonder why they didn't make a version of this where you pay a premium to get Bayonetta 1, 2, and 3, because I'd pay for that. I don't have 1 and 2 physical yet. So kind of a strange decision there, but if you're wondering, well, how do I get Bayonetta 1? It's never been given a physical release. Well, they announced that Bayonetta 1 will be coming out physically. You can see her butt there. And so there will be a physical packaged edition of that on September 30th. And then a month, September, October, yeah, so a month later, you're going to be getting Bayonetta 3. And then the only odd one out is Bayonetta 2, which as of this moment, I think either is out of print or is very limited. I see it sold a lot for $75, so I'm really hoping that we're going to be seeing a new, I don't know what we'd call it. It's not a disc, so it's not a new pressing, but like a new print run for Bayonetta 2, just so it's easier to get all three of them. And again, I wish they did a trilogy box set at a premium price, because I would have gladly paid for that instead of hunting down all the individual titles. Apparently this is going to be on the My Nintendo store, but it's also going to be available at select retailers in like a limited supply, which kind of worries me. I want to get Bayonetta 1, absolutely. The Trinity edition would be nice to have. If I missed out on it, I wouldn't be, too upset, but yeah, missing out on 1, or what if, imagine you get the Trinity edition, but then you fail to get 1, and then you're stuck with this alternate cover art for a game you weren't able to purchase. That would kind of suck. So, yeah, pretty cool there. The game itself looks fun. It looks like they've added a lot of new characters to it. I think Bayonetta 3 definitely looks like a step in the right direction. I thought 2 was fine, but not as good as Bayonetta 1, so looking forward to this one. I don't really have much more to say about it, just because I'm kind of like not spoiling myself too much. Like, I kind of want to go in blind on this outside of just watching the trailers. So yeah, new hairstyle, new purple kind of hue to it. Same old Bayonetta, lots of crazy stuff. Have not seen many like Sega references in it, nor have I seen many Nintendo references in this, like we saw at the sequel. So who knows? All right, are we getting to the? All right, here we go. So finally, this is Barry's Beef. This is a new segment. In the past on these, I've always had like a little bit where I would complain about something, but it wasn't really a segment. It was just me doing a news story, and then I'm suddenly complaining about something. So what I'm going to be complaining about today is it's twofold. So first off, let's talk about this. So Sonic Origins has a, let's see here. Yeah. So Ian Flynn, who wrote the scenarios for the Sonic Origins cutscenes, and he is also writing the dialogue for Sonic Frontiers, and he's a writer for the IDW Sonic comic. He's basically got his hands in everything now. He's even written that Sonic history book, the Encyclopedia, that came out. He confirmed that the new classic era canon for all regions is what we see in Sonic Origins, and that's going to replace what we see in the manuals. That's going to replace, everything. And, it's not like they're taking it away from you. You still grew up playing Sonic 1, 2, and 3, and either going off of what you saw in the games or in the manuals. Like, that's not going away. But basically, when he is, like, working on any official Sonic projects, in the back of his head, this now exists, the cutscenes from Sonic Origins. And he basically confirms that. And that ties in with, in the past, on social media, there were a lot of people kind of getting up in arms about Sonic Frontiers being announced to have these cyberspace stages. And in these cyberspace stages, you would revisit places from Sonic's past in like a weird sort of Tron virtual setting. And if you look at like high-res images of these stages, you'll see kind of like a little rainbow glare, like it's almost like it's all a fabrication that Sonic's running through. And they confirmed that the game is going to kick off in Green Hill Zone, or at least a Green Hill Zone setting in this cyberspace stage. And I saw a lot of people getting really upset, oh no, another game with Green Hill Zone in it. Why can't they have Palm Tree Panic? Why can't they have Emerald Hill Zone? And I personally would love to see Palm Tree Panic. I'd love to see Emerald Hill in 3D. But in the case of this, it's very clearly this is a game that was being developed during Sonic's 30th anniversary. Green Hill Zone is a very important place for Sonic in terms of both the character and the franchise as a whole. And I think they're going for this sort of like nostalgic setup for the game where you're suddenly thrust into Green Hill Zone. And you're like, I wish they didn't tell us this, because I think that would have been a really fun sort of surprise when you kick the game off. They're showing all these trailers for like this mysterious island, it's new places, and then you kick the game off in Green Hill Zone. You're like, what's going on here? You're just as confused as Sonic. And once you exit cyberspace, you're in the Starfall Island setting, and it's a whole new world. You're very confused. And I think what they're doing is they're setting up this comparison there, where it's a very Green Hill Zone for fans and for Sonic is a very recognizable, memorable setting, and then you're thrust into this whole new world that's going to look completely different from Green Hill Zone. And so I think there's going to be a little bit of a, I don't know, you're going to get the feels when you're in Green Hill Zone and then you're suddenly thrust into this new area, and you're going to see the evolution of Sonic from 1991 all the way to 2022. It's going to be, a big shift just in terms of visuals there. But people were getting upset about Green Hill Zone specifically. I argued against it on the social medias, and this is where the beef comes in. And people fought back at me. They were like upset that I dared say that Green Hill Zone is an important thing, important location in the franchise and to Sonic. And my reasoning is that I felt that, and this is after playing Sonic Origins, especially, that Green Hill Zone is the place, it's the location where Sonic first encountered Eggman. It's where they fought. It's possibly a place where Sonic, lived for a little bit. Like, obviously Sonic doesn't have a home outside of Sonic Shuffle, where he has like a nice little garden view house. But, it's clear that Sonic doesn't have a home. He's free roaming, but Green Hill Zone is an important place to him and the franchise. It's a place we've revisited time and time again because it is the first location we've seen as players, and as such, it's an important place to Sonic. But it was argued to me that within the canon, it's not important to Sonic. He was just running through Green Hill Zone. He's fought Eggman before because the Japanese manual stated that they've I guess, fought before. I'm coming from an American perspective. I grew up with the American game. Never once did I go, oh, you know what? 8-year-old me, 6-year-old me, let's try to find a copy of that Japanese ones. Let's find a translator, and let's really nail down this canon, because that was not the mindset of anyone back in 1991. We saw what we played in the games. We would maybe read what we read in the American manuals, which weren't always accurate. But end of the day, Green Hill Zone is important to Sonic as a franchise and as a character. And going back to this Ian Flynn podcast, he confirms that this is the new canon. And if you watch that Sonic Origins cutscene for Sonic 1, go back and watch that. Sonic appears pretty confused about animals going inside of robots. He does not seem to look at Eggman and see someone he's battled time and time again. It all seems very new to him. And you could argue that I'm interpreting this is my interpretation, But yeah, you could most definitely make that interpretation that Green Hill Zone is the first place that Eggman and Sonic encountered each other. And the game does not contradict that. The Sonic Origins cutscenes don't contradict that. Most of the Western canon from 1990, 1991 does not contradict that. The only thing that really does is a Japanese manual that was written in like 1990, 1991. And I personally, I don't take the manuals as some sort of Bible, some sort of canon, because like the end-all canon, especially when they have since been contradicted, etc., etc. Who knows who wrote those things? Like, I don't really think Yuji Naka was sitting down and like writing the manuals. We could ask him. That would be a really good question. He seems to be pretty open to answering things. But yeah, that's Barry's beef for this week. Just, I don't want to call it gatekeeping, but just people who swat down any sort of like idea that, you know, maybe the manuals aren't complete canon. Maybe you can look at this from new eyes. I don't know. That's my beef for the week. I do agree, though. So Relax Alex X says Green Hill isn't a surprise anymore. It's just being milked to death. I agree with you that it's not a surprise anymore. I think the last time Green Hill Zone was really a surprise was Sonic Adventure 2, when it was the unlock. And again, that was the 10th anniversary. So it was a real kind of gift to the fans. Like, at the time, that was a huge deal. I think I saw screenshots of it before I actually played it, because people were like, this is what you get when you get all the emblems. And I was like, holy crap, I got to get all the emblems. And that was a real treat to do that, to see that in 3D, because, you know, up to then, Green Hill Zone was just the first stage of the first Sonic game, and it was not revisited so often. But like I was saying, it's in the story of Sonic Frontiers, I think Green Hill Zone is being used as a way to compare what we're seeing in the Starfall Islands to where Sonic came from. And you're going to see that, and I'm struggling to think of what the word is, but that not that comparison, but like the differences between the two. And I think that's what they're trying to do, is really show Sonic in 1991, Sonic in 2022, and to really give you kind of that whiplash from jumping from one to the other. That's most likely what they're doing. But yes, Green Hill Zone is important to Sonic. It's important to the franchise. Revisiting is not a bad thing. And I think if it was Palm Tree Panic, or if it was even Emerald Hill Zone, it would hit less, just because it's like, yeah, well, that's a different first stage from another classic game. But Green Hill Zone is the very first stage from the very first Sonic game. And to have him thrust into a digital version of that before you go to Starfall Islands hits a lot more narratively than just because they want to appease fans and show a new, like a new first stage in 3D. Having said that, I really hope that we revisit other stages from other classic games that we haven't seen in Forces or Forces or Generations in Frontiers. Donnie, SSF, man, I'm blanking, SSF1991, I think, on Twitter. He's been doing a lot of great coverage of Sonic Frontiers, just kind of picking out what we've been seeing in various news articles. And I think he found that in Starfall Islands alone, you're going to have, I think, like 10 cyberspace, or let me backtrack. In the first island that you land on, that we've been seeing in all the trailers, there's going to be about 10 cyberspace levels. My fingers are crossed that we're going to be seeing more than just Green Hill Zone, more than just Chemical Plant Zone, that they might add new things like Palm Tree Panic or anything else, that would be really exciting. But that wraps up the beef. Let's clear the beef. There it goes. All right, it's gone. No more beef. So that just about does it for Sega News Bits Live. George and I are coming back next week. We are going to be rolling in with episode 100 of Sega Talk, which is a pretty huge deal. It's a podcast we launched, I want to say like 4 years ago, and we've already hit episode 100, which is a huge deal. You can also give a listen to the latest Sega Bit Swingin' Report show, where I talk to Corey Maru, the creator of Sonic and Sega Fan Jam Remix, where we discuss the guests who are going to be there. There's going to be Some Call Me Johnny. There's going to be Emmy Jones is going to be there. They're going to have the voice actors from Shenmue. They're going to have a Jackie and Sarah Bryant family reunion. There's going to be the original voice of Sonic from Sonic Adventure, and I'm blanking on his name, and I'm sure everyone hates that I'm blanking on his name. Is it Ryan Drummond? It's Ryan Drummond, right? Yeah. What if it isn't? Man, you guys are going to tear me apart. But we also discussed I think it's pretty much confirmed that I'm going to be hosting some panels at Sonic and Sega Fan Jam Remix. I believe I'm hosting a Shenmue panel with all the actors, and then I'm going to be hosting a Virtua Fighter panel with the voice actors for Jackie and Sarah Bryant, which is very exciting. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that happening, getting back into the convention scene. And we'll be doing more of these soon. I think once some news drops on Frontiers, I'd like to jump back in and talk more about it. But that'll be it. Have a great rest of the day. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you next game. Bye.